Hello, everyone. I see some familiar names on here.
Yay. How's everyone faring with the cold and rainy?
I was not expecting that yesterday when I went outside.
Me neither. It's still cold and rainy here in Tulsa.
Somebody test the chat for me. I think I've got it set correctly, but I always have I don't know why it doesn't automatically set up how it's supposed to, but yep, there we
Oh,
go.
there we go. It was supposed to be 70. I know. Melody, where are you in the state? It was supposed to be 70. I mean, okay, Monday here was amazing. I think it got up to like 83 degrees. Okay, you're in Broken Arrow. Yeah. Ugh. Um, yeah, I was outside as much as possible on Monday. Shakota's
57
57.
Shakota.
Monday was wonderful. Yes.
It was.
Magical even.
I don't know why I did that because I have it in the settings to chat. Taylor says, and it's to everyone, that it defaulted to message host and panelists, but I have it in the settings to go to everyone. So I don't know.
I just switched it to everyone. I don't know, it was an option on my screen.
Well,
So,
I will check everyone. I'll check in the webinar settings for the next time to make sure that.
okay.
Okay, I think we're probably ready. It's 1:32. Are we ready to get going?
132, let's do it.
Okay, today we're talking about breakfast.
Gonna be
So
fun.
just a few housekeeping, the same thing I say every time. It's being recorded. I try to get it posted on our website as soon as possible. After the webinar is finished, I'll send you an email with a link. You don't have to take the survey to get a certificate, but we hope that you do. Any feedback helps us. The link will be open for 1 week. So make sure and get that done if you need the certificate. If you're watching this group, send me an email at Ring. Okay, sometimes you all together and just send me a watching it in their way we get them to our roster. Other than that, you don't have to tell me that you are watching it because we get a report and your attendance is verified by that Zoom report. Okay. Our learning objectives. So after today's webinar, you will be able to discuss breakfast serving models, give examples of savory, I can't speak today, savory breakfast recipes, identify breakfast preparation time management strategies, and explain how to utilize your salad bar at breakfast. So I'm going to
Great.
turn it over to Callie.
Excellent. Okay, well, with this, as always, I really would love to hear your questions or your comments, what you all are doing in your schools, especially with breakfast. I think that there is a lot of we all have a lot of questions about what everything is going to look at or look like when the sugar reduction comes into play. And I know that there's, a lot of questions and uncertainty, as there always is if that's going to go into effect, when it's going to go into effect. Is the industry going to be ready with products that fit within that, those like tight restrictions? So hopefully we can give you guys a couple of options on how to prepare yourselves for that reduction in sugar. But I do want to hear all your comments, questions, concerns, and all of that sort of thing. So as we know, the power of school breakfast is immense, right? Kids go to school not only for learning, but it could be the only place that they get meals. And we provide a nutritious, delicious meal for them. The other thing is that they might not have food when they go home. So this might be one of the only meals that they get throughout their day. And they're not able to learn without meals. There's a lot of studies that have been done about productivity in the classroom with students who have eaten breakfast versus not eaten breakfast. So breakfast is really important. So we want to talk about some ways to increase your participation. We want to fight food insecurity. We want to talk about ways that we can assist in boosting behavior and learning within your schools, and have a huge impact on your participation and that sort of thing. So let's jump right in to our next slide. So I know that this might just be a review for a lot of you, but if some of you do have questions, again, please put it in the chat. Cass is going to help me monitor that quite a bit, but we have a couple different ways to serve breakfast. In the classroom is obviously, you know, something that's been happening for a long time, but especially during COVID, that we had to become a little bit more creative about how to do that. Grab and go breakfast, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, and then second chance breakfast, which is becoming more and more popular in a lot of schools.
That's what I was going to ask. That seems to be the model that is kind of more and more schools are utilizing.
Right. I think that especially for increased participation, which we'll talk about here in just a minute, a second chance breakfast is a really great option. So let's first talk about breakfast in the classroom. It can really help your participation. A lot of times, kids don't have a lot of time in the morning. I, as a mom who just sent her first child to pre-K this year, getting out the door and making sure everyone is fed and good to go, and I pack her lunch and all this sort of thing. It's a lot. And so there are times where I ask in the backseat, "Oh, Nora, did you get your breakfast?" And, often it's no, and okay, have mine or something, right? But if they had the school my daughter goes to doesn't do breakfast in the classroom or a second chance breakfast. So it can help your participation doing breakfast in the classroom because every child gets the option, whether they have time to come through the cafeteria or not. Okay. It can be a really great option for CEP schools. So all your students eat free at your CEP schools. That can also boost your participation quite a bit, while also ensuring that the most students possible eat a delicious, nutritious breakfast in the morning, or ready to learn. It also, early start times, we can make sure that they get a meal in the classroom. It supports structured routines and is a smooth start to your day. It is key for elementary schools. Breakfast in the classroom is a great option for that. If you have a very small cafeteria and it's really hard to get multiple grades through that line very quickly, breakfast in the classroom, especially for your littles, can be an excellent, excellent option. And then it encourages on-time arrival and focus in the classroom, like we've been talking about. So, breakfast is really exciting. I wake up in the morning and my first question to myself is, what am I going to have for breakfast? Because I love breakfast so much. So hopefully that is something, right? Hopefully that is something that your students ask themselves again as well. So how do we make this successful? Stakeholder support is really, really important. Okay. So making sure that your administrators are on board, obviously asking, or, at least informing them that you're going to be doing this, asking them permission, however you like to do that, to ask for forgiveness later kind of situation. However you want to do that. Make sure your teachers are on board. If you can find a couple teachers that would advocate for you to do breakfast in the classroom, that can really make a huge difference when you're going to the administration about it. And then thirdly, your staff. Make sure that your food service staff is aware that this is happening, as we know that sometimes our kitchen staff think, oh my goodness, one more thing, how am I going to get it done? But by collaborating with them and making sure that they are involved in processes that would make their lives easier, in the planning process and in the execution process, making sure that they understand what the benefits are, because everybody is interested in feeding kids, right? This is why we do this job. And if we can present it to the staff in that way, instead of this is going to be a whole lot more work, then it might be, you might have better buy-in from your staff at that point. Okay. When you do go to your administration to talk about breakfast in the classroom, or any new program that you're rolling out, make sure that you're communicating the benefits, increased participation, what that means for your school, what that means for your program, making sure that they see the reports on, kids with full stomachs being ready to learn, making sure that they understand that this will help with, getting more kids fed and in the classroom in their chairs, on time, which is really great. Then we need to make sure that we also address the concerns about cleanliness in the classroom, whether that's meeting with your custodial staff, and talking with them about how the process goes on your end versus their end, what things that you can do to make sure that you're packaging things in a certain way that when they're open, they're not going to spill all over the floor, making sure that they understand that the trash needs are going to increase throughout the day, in those classrooms, just making sure that they're also on board or aware of what's going on.
It's kind of an all hands on deck situation.
Absolutely, it's
You have to
definitely
have buy-in
collaborative.
from several different, your teachers, your custodians, all the way around to make it work.
Yep. So the second step is really refining the way you want things to go. So making sure that we have what we call a service model. And that what that means is it's like we're thinking logically and step by step through how we're going to package things, how we're going to transport things, how we're going to make sure we have enough inventory for those things. How are we going to store those things? How are they going to get down to the classroom? Because we know that, getting it all ready to go into your coolers or your hot boxes or whatever, and then the transportation down to the classroom often gets forgotten. Are you going to have teachers come get them? Are you going to have students come get the bags? How is that going to happen? Packaging is also a huge thing, a huge obstacle sometimes, but a huge thing to think about. Thinking about what's readily available, what's cost effective. Are you going to bag everything? Is everything going to be in a clamshell? Or are you going to use just wrapping paper for all of your grab and go stuff? Are you going to order some of your fruit pre-packaged, like your craisins or different things like that? Are you going to do a little more convenience items at the beginning and then kind of develop your menu to fit more of your fast scratch model? So just making sure that we're thinking step by step through that. I know there are a lot of schools out there that have really, really great systems for breakfast in the classroom. So any of you all want to drop anything in the chat, I'm more than happy to share that with everybody and chat with
Share your
everybody about
tips.
it. Tips and tricks. And then we also need to establish systems for tracking meal counts, right? Making sure that every kid is getting a meal that is compliant with guidelines and different things like that. And that's a lot of training. And I know that we don't have a lot of time for training, but as long as we're going through all that or having kind of a cheat sheet or a check sheet for whoever's handing out the snacks, we can do anything with a little bit of training. I think I kind of always reference back to like the beginning of school with your pre-K, your kindergarten, your first graders. It's like Groundhog's Day every single day, right? It's just like we forgot everything and we need to relearn. But then by the end of the school year or by Christmas break, at least they know their numbers, they know how to get through the line, they know what the expectations are. It's the same kind of deal when rolling out a new program for your school. So training is key. It's going to take a lot of time. This is why we say all hands on deck, making sure that, you're getting your principal involved, making sure that any office staff come in and assist. This might not be something that you want to roll out across your district all on the same day. It might be a gradual thing, starting with one school at a time, and you might want to take 1 or 2 weeks to get all the kinks worked out at that school before starting it in the next school. There's no real set way of doing this, but you do need to think about what's the best for your district and your staff and how that's going to work for them. So coordinate with teachers and custodial staff. We talked a little bit about this, but we need to make sure that we are establishing training and a routine for these teachers, making sure that we have a cleanup plan, making sure that they know who's supposed to be cleaning what, and then who's going to pick up leftovers. Are the students bringing them back to the kitchen, or the teachers bringing them back? As your staff going and getting them from the classrooms, different things like that. So every single little detail we have to think about. And I love this picture of this mobile cart that they roll down to the classrooms, and each teacher grabs, or whoever the delegate for that classroom is, grabs what they need off this cart, and then they just keep rolling. It's an easy way to transport all this sort of thing. The other thing that is really, really important when rolling out any sort of new program, but especially one like breakfast in the classroom, is to communicate with the families and students, right? Now, if I heard that my daughter's school was going to have breakfast in the classroom, it's going to be this new thing with fun options and making sure that they have more access to breakfast and everything, I would be pumped, right? And so just making sure that families are aware of that might take a burden off a family who thinks that they need to pack breakfast every single morning. And then also making it the students aware of it, making sure that they know something new is coming, making sure that they're going to have to learn a new routine, making sure that they're excited about it. And you can do this with social media. We can do a mock training where we, practice cleaning up, or the walk between the cafeteria and the classrooms, and what route they're going to take and how that's going to work for each student if students are coming down to the cafeteria. So different things like that to make sure that everybody is ready to participate and excited to help out. So next comes the actual boots on the ground. So we've talked about all this mise en place stuff, right? Making sure that we have all our ducks in a row. But now it's time to pilot it, right? Boots on the ground. Making sure that we're testing it with a small group, or a single grade, or a single school first. Making sure that we work out all the kinks, because there's probably inevitably something that we have not thought about, right? Or overlooked, or just taken, assumed that would work. And then to gather feedback from staff and students. If, a specific product isn't selling, or the students don't like it or something like that, then we're open to adjusting that, right? Okay. And then the work is not over after that. As we know, people get busy, right? And then when people get busy, they start cutting corners. And when corners are cut, sometimes things get missed or dropped or left out, right? So we need to monitor and evaluate. And this could be an every other week thing. It could be just on I always talk to 3 teachers a week kind of situation. It could be a survey that's sent out every month, something like that, just to make sure that everyone is on the same page. I know that a lot of people shy away from surveys or questionnaires or different things like that because of all the negative that will come back. You're always going to have negativity, and always going to have some people who are not on board with the program. But just remember that the end goal is feeding students, and we're child nutrition, not child teacher or teacher nutrition, right? If I could speak. We're not teacher nutrition, we're child nutrition. So what benefits the children is what's going to be best for our department to do. So we also want to track participation, see what's popular on certain days, evaluate your menus, constantly look for new things, address any operational challenges, timing. If things are rushed, maybe we try to get it down there 5 minutes earlier, making sure that the custodians are always on top of it. Maybe they're just a whole bunch of trash cans outside of the rooms at a certain designated time just to facilitate all the trash. Troubleshooting ideas. So one thing that is as my children grow up, or I even tell this to my husband, like, if there's an issue and you want to come talk to me about it, you're not allowed to come to me with all the negative. You need to come, if you have a complaint, come with an idea or 5 of how we fix it, right? And I think that that's a really good tactic to take with your staff and maybe even teachers, right? So if we're troubleshooting, we want to make sure that there's buy-in from the other party. So if they come with also an idea for a solution, then they feel heard and different things like that. And then you don't have to dedicate so much time and brain power to fixing issues. So that'd be really good. Child nutrition does need to monitor, making sure that the rosters are filled out properly so we get proper reimbursement. We want to get back feedback from teachers and students. If teachers need additional training, we need to be able to point them to where that training is. I'm sure there are a lot of online trainings. I know ICN has a lot of online trainings that they might be able to take to benefit from. But then also, we want to maintain excellence, right? And I think that's really hard in child nutrition because we are always so busy with the next thing, not if it's new regulation, if it's increased participation, if it's not being able to get products, if it's, a whole myriad of things, right? But it's important to celebrate the success and maintain enthusiasm surrounding breakfast in the classroom or any program that we really roll out, right? We need to think of the best ways to try to do that. So maybe posting on social media, oh, thank you to Miss Johnson. Her class, showed diligence, or they cleaned up trash without even us asking them to, or they helped the custodians, or here's a picture of the kids really enjoying this breakfast, or hey, this is our most popular breakfast product. Making sure that we're really highlighting our program in that way. So next thing we need to talk about is cleanliness, because it is really important. And those of you who have coolers or hot bags or different things like that know that they get real nasty really fast if they're ignored. So we need to make sure that we're cleaning those containers daily, anytime that there's a spill, making sure that everything's wiped down. Those warm bags or anything that's sealed, making sure that they are not sealed right after you wipe them out, making sure that they can air dry so there's no mildew or mold or anything that would be able to fester in there, right? And then making sure that we're inspecting our bags for tears, rips, different things like that, making sure that our bags don't have a weird smell in them. Just general maintenance. If something needs to be replaced, making sure that we're telling our child nutrition director or our manager or whoever we need to tell about that particular thing needing to be replaced. Okay, so some successful items with breakfast in the classroom: toasted bagels, breakfast wraps, muffins, bread squares, yogurt and granola bars, whole fruit. It's really important to maintain a very healthy relationship with your vendors about how to find new foods and what's the latest and greatest coming out, how to make your life easier. There are new egg products that have come out on commodities or commodity processing. Breakfast in the classroom is also a way to really have fun and introduce new items, such as fruits or vegetables, or like a sheet to educate. And I know I've said this so many times before, but our Oklahoma Farm to School has these beautiful posters of fresh fruits and vegetables that are grown in Oklahoma with fun facts and different things like that. So it's a great resource to hand out to schools or even post on social media of like, this week we're doing locally grown strawberries or something like this. And having that fun fact sheet on your social media or hung within your school or something like that. Okay. Some more adventurous options would be smoothies, oatmeal, and parfaits. Now, before we poo-poo the oatmeal idea, right? There are several options that are not the traditional oatmeal. We could do oatmeal bars. We could do the oatmeal bake that's pretty contained and not the whole like burning lava situation of traditional oatmeal. So just thinking outside are the traditional box, but within the child nutrition regulation box, is important for breakfast in the classroom. Okay. So now let's talk about grab and go breakfast. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I love grab and go options. It's easy. You can use leftovers. It minimizes food waste, especially for your higher grades, middle school to high school. It is really amazing, but really great for breakfast. Okay, and let's talk about why. It's flexible. You can set it up anywhere. It's ideal for students to just grab on their way to school or on their way to class. If you set it up right where the bus drops off or by the front doors, excuse me, it's really easy for them to grab and just take to class. For middle school and high school older students, they don't want to wait in line. They want something important that they can take with them, a portable option that they can eat, maybe pack in their backpack for later, which hopefully that doesn't get forgotten and moldy 2 weeks later. We know sometimes it will, those high school students. It helps them avoid crowded cafeterias. Again, if you have multiple grades coming through that cafeteria at once, and it's a huge congestion, kids who are short on time in the morning are not going to go into the cafeteria if it's crowded. So having a grab and go option or a breakfast in the classroom is definitely the way to go there. It encourages on-time arrival. So that they know that they can arrive on time before class, not have to waste a lot of time going through the long line in the cafeteria, but grab the grab and go straight to class, which is what I would probably do. If I get 2 minutes of extra sleep, I am totally here for it. It also helps families with multiple drop-offs. Kids can still get a really delicious meal that's very convenient for them. And it's really great also for larger open campuses. So you can set up your grab and go cart anywhere. Like we said, at bus drop-off, at the front doors, anything like that. You could have multiple stations for these larger schools that'll really help you capture a lot of participation and make it really easy for your students to get breakfast before they go to class, which is really important in
Callie,
vision.
Christina had a tip. And I
Yes,
think this would work for grab and go too. She said we used to do breakfast in the classroom and we would run our hard coolers through the dishwasher.
that's an excellent idea. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for
Air
that.
dry always. Thank you so much for that, Christina. From Winewood. I don't even know where Winewood is. Is that how you say it? Christina
Uh,
Winewood?
Wynnewood? Is it
Wynnewood?
Wynnewood?
I don't
I
know. I don't know
I
which
don't
one.
either.
Sorry if we're butchering it. Sorry. But let's talk about equipment for grab and go breakfast. As you see here, we have a rolling cart, and you can order these off Amazon and do baskets or whatever you want. But one thing that I really, really would encourage you is to get baskets that are easily cleanable, right? You can run them through the dishwasher or wipe them down easily, something like that. Okay. Signs are also very, very, very important. Okay. And you can arrange your carts in that, if it's multiple options, take one of this, take one of this. You must have a fruit or a vegetable. Um, or option one, option two, take a fruit or vegetable. And then have your milk in a separate cooler. And also color is really important. As you see here, we have oranges and apples put together in one of these baskets. You can mix up your colorful frozen fruit cups or different things like that, just to really make it colorful. And also signage needs to be colorful. So just really make it enticing. Just think about when you are running into Panera or the donut shop or McDonald's or whatever, what is your expectation when you're talking about grab and go, how it looks, what service you're expecting, different things like that, cleanliness, and that's what we want to do for our students as well.
Kelly, isn't this a cart you helped put well, this one and the next ones, I think you helped
hmm
um
So we rolled these
together.
out in McAllister, and it's been several years ago, but it was a huge success. This was at their high school, and we put
Oh,
it,
look, and there's the examples of what you're just saying, like pick one from this row and pick.
yeah. We put this right by the front doors of the school where the bus drop off and main entrance was. Their participation for breakfast went up over 30%, which was huge. And they have a mobile cart for their computer. They put their milk and juice in those round rollable bins, and that worked out really well. This particular shelf is on wheels, and so they just roll back, restock at the end of the day, and roll back out. And the one thing about these shelves is they're tilted, which is really nice. They're large enough for a hot bag or something to fit on, so you could do a hot option as well. So yeah, lots of versatility here, lots of options, and this is what we want, right? Because when you think about breakfast, you want lots of options, not just cereal every day. And some people like fresh options. One thing that they would also do with this, that was amazing, is they would get the frozen um well, it's not a steam table pan if it's frozen, but the insulated pans that can be frozen, and put their parfaits or something in those, and then put them up on their shelf. And this was not a self-serve situation. They had a staff member who would help facilitate, but the signage really helped in that they could pre-choose what they wanted while they stood in line by reading the signs, which was really great. You can have a self-serve option, but again, you just make sure that they have that fruit when they come through your cash register. So the one thing about this, a couple thoughts, is you do have to have Wi-Fi in your school to successfully have a mobile grab and go cart. And just making sure that you have all those passwords and different things like that. This in McAllister, we made sure that they had a mobile keypad in case a student didn't have their ID, so they could type in their number, which was really great. And then the other thing to think about is just keeping everything full and fresh, right? And making sure that there are several options is another really important thing to think about here. So let's talk about second chance breakfast. So we talked about breakfast in the classroom. We talked about grab and go. What is second chance breakfast? This is a newer option that probably in the past 5 years or so has become popular. You have your very traditional breakfast, but this is offered a little bit later as an option for athletes or band or different things like that that are practicing during that first breakfast period. It's really great for middle school and high schools. This can also help with I know that a lot of high school students don't have to be at school until, maybe a little bit later, and you're still able to capture that participation by offering a second chance breakfast. So middle school and high schools are great. Late arrivals and bus riders don't always have a lot of time to go through the traditional breakfast line, but having a second chance breakfast, it's a little bit more leisurely. It also kind of gives you 2 breakfast periods, so you're not swamped all at once, which is really nice for your ladies. So it works really well for students that have longer class periods or later lunch times. Because a lot of these schools, it's tough for your breakfast ends at what, 8:30, and your last lunch or your first lunch begins at 10:45, but then some students are waiting till, 12:30 or even 12:45 to eat, and that's a larger gap. So having a second chance breakfast can help kind of bridge that gap for those hungrier students. But again, especially effective for athletes or band members or, oh my goodness, what's the military, oh my goodness.
ROTC.
Yes, thank you, Taylor. ROTC. Thank you, thank you. To help out with those students. Okay, Darla's saying that we are doing a second chance breakfast after first hour for our athletes and band kids. It's been a great thing for our participation at the high school and middle school. Excellent. Yeah. So, I mean, definitely increasing your participation. How hungry are those kids after practicing all morning? And they might just need a second breakfast, which is also really.
Well, and that seems to be kind of a trend. The older the kiddos get, the less they're eating at breakfast at school. So this seems like a great opportunity to kind of increase that participation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about some models here.
We
Um,
reshared the same picture again because it was just
we
so
did because it's such a great picture.
it
Okay.
is.
Um, so grab and go kiosk again, really great because it's mobile. If ROTC comes in at a certain door or athletes come in more at the back of the school, then this can be wheeled to the back of the school, not at the front doors, to really get all of those students. It can be towards a specific classroom. It can be set up right outside the gym, all of that. So this really is the most versatile option. The next option is in the cafeteria. This they sometimes call passing period. So then the cafeteria opens with maybe a couple less options, maybe a couple more cold options, more grab and go friendly options for students to come through the cafeteria and grab. And then the snack break model, this was a little bit new for me. But making it a designated break time in the school day for them to come up and get um a snack. I do have one school that has had a lot of success with this, and they call it brunch. Um, and so it's not like a second chance breakfast, but it's a brunch, and they use leftover breakfast items and leftover items from the day before lunch and serve kind of um multiple options that run out their leftovers, which is really great. And it's not a huge, I mean, they don't have like, 500 students coming through. It's more like maybe 200 at most. So that would be an option as well. That's really popular. Okay, so the other thing about a new program that we're rolling out anywhere in the school, it has to have some marketing ideas, right?
And I think this applies to all the other two as well.
Absolutely. So making sure that you're posting on social media that you're doing this. Also, I think a really great way to be a little bit proactive on social media is, hey, this week we're rolling out this. Bear with us while we work out the kinks. Or if you have a specific something that, if you have a success story, please share it. Or, if you have feedback, please email us at this email, right? But making sure that we're paying attention to what is put out there and that we are putting something out there to market or make sure that people know that we're doing this, right? Morning announcements are a really great way of doing this. The school website, talking to coaches, right? Making sure that coaches know that if we're doing a second chance breakfast or something for their athletes, or the band kids or ROTC or, all of those. I put coaches on here, but we can do, the band directors, and I don't know what you call an ROTC instructor, if there's a formal name. There probably is that I'm just unaware of. But making sure that we're talking to them specifically and saying, look, we would love to get your kids breakfast, making sure that they're ready for their day. This is really for the kids, making sure that they understand that this isn't just, something that we're doing. It has a purpose. Those kids are real hungry when they come in from working out And high school students are hungry all the time. So making sure that there are a lot more options. The other thing, the thing that we can do to enhance maybe the second chance breakfast or different things like that is making sure that we have theme menus. Maybe we call it a breakfast club, maybe we call it brunch, maybe we call it something else, but definitely having a theme to that is also really very helpful.
I love the brunch idea.
Yeah. Who doesn't love brunch?
I know.
I mean, maybe you can serve sparkling orange juice spritzers, virgin mimosas, right? So let's talk about, as always, my favorite subject is food safety, right? So if we are serving hot foods, making sure that they're 135 degrees or below above, and then cold foods, of course, 41 degrees or below, making sure that we're taking temps frequently on that and paying attention to our critical control points. So if we need to send something back to the kitchen to heat up, we're doing that. Or if we need to go get more ice to cool something down, that we're also doing that. And then making that a best practice in the future. Now, at the beginning, I know that as we're piloting these programs, as we're these are very new to your specific school districts, there are going to be hiccups, right? But we just need to make sure that as those hiccups happen, that we're providing solutions to those, right? We're not just saying, oh, it didn't temp. We're saying, oh, it didn't temp, so this is what I need to do to fix it, right? And then, of course, safe handling, hand washing, wearing gloves, preventing cross-contamination. If we're packaging our own stuff, making sure everything is sealed, making sure that students are touching a whole bunch of stuff, making sure that we're wiping everything down, making sure we're cleaning our buckets out, making sure that our baskets are always cleaned, making sure that we're labeling everything to reduce like opening, which would be really great. Making sure that we're labeling with allergens and a expiration date and all of that sort of fun stuff, right? And then, of course, staff training. Staff training is a real important part of it, always a continuing issue or opportunity to train staff and make sure that, you know, proper and safe food handling is happening. Okay. I love a good picture and graphic, and I'm so fortunate to have Cass who loves it as well. She puts these slide decks together, and I'm so grateful that she does because she does such a great job. Okay, so some grab and go ideas would be taking those little mini pancakes and putting them with chicken nuggets with a side of syrup. Now let's talk about syrup. We're going to talk about syrup later, actually. Let's talk about syrup later. Um, we have some other ideas for that. Or doing like a yogurt parfait. You can see in the second picture, yogurt parfait option. The third picture is peanut butter or other nut butter that's approved by your district, and banana and pancakes, which is delightful, right? And just some playful stuff like that. Now, no, not everybody has time to cut those bananas. I know what everyone's thinking, but throw a banana in there, throw a packet of nut butter or seed butter in there with your pancakes. It doesn't
Build your
necessarily have to
own.
look like,
Build
yeah,
your
build
own
your own.
pancake sandwiches.
Right. Our fourth picture is hard-boiled eggs with muffins. Hard-boiled eggs are coming back in a big way. Very popular. Um, another option would be cottage cheese, which is a very popular deal right now with any sort of fruit or even like a savory with tomatoes. I saw a kid at my daughter's school. They opened up their lunch and they had cottage cheese with cucumbers and tomatoes on it. And I was like, well,
Well, you know, I don't know, on Instagram, it's like they're making everything out of cottage cheese. I don't know if you guys have noticed that or not, but like
yeah, my
cottage cheese
sister,
is the hot thing.
it's crazy. I mean, I feel like I'm back at like, you know, the early bird special, which is fantastic. My sister was just sharing a recipe with me for bagels that is like a high protein, so it's like flour and cottage cheese. I was like, oh, well, that sounds like fun, but who knew?
Yeah.
Um, So some really fun grab and go options there. But then if you don't have time or staff or room to do all those grab and go options, you can definitely do it on the line with a sausage biscuit, a breakfast burrito. Now let's talk about this breakfast burrito for just a second, okay? Um, and I know I sound like a broken record here for some of you guys, but if you do your egg bake like a frittata or like a casserole bake in the oven, put it on your line and have your tortillas there and serve them up on the line like tacos. It's much easier. You don't have to physically roll all those. It's a huge time saver. So think about ways to make it easier on you and your staff. Okay. We have,
And I have to say, I love
yeah.
your breakfast burrito recipe because it contains chicken, which is kind of different. And I think that's a good, it's just something you don't see a lot. So I love that one.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you can use leftover chicken nuggets or fajita chicken or taco meat or, anything like that. So you don't have to, you can be creative within the child nutrition box, right?
Mhm.
And then oatmeal or parfaits or different things like that are really great options for through the serving line.
And again, I'm going to second the baked oatmeal. And
Mhm.
I think we have a recipe for it. I'm not for sure if it's on our website or not, but it is a
The
great,
apple cinnamon.
um,
Yeah, it's so good.
and is that something you could put together the day before and
Mhm.
then pop it in oven that
You're
morning?
basically reheating it. It's like overnight oats if you put it together the day before. The other thing that I love about that is you can switch the apples out for like canned peaches or strawberries or blueberries, and it's just fantastic. Yeah,
That's a good one.
I love it. It's a good recipe. So some other savory breakfast ideas, and I promise you we're working on recipes for a lot of these. Tater tot and egg casserole. Using leftover tater tots from the day before, your bagged eggs, your leftover veggies off your salad bar, putting it together in a casserole. Kids will eat anything with tater tots, right? We talked about the big pancake with banana and peanut butter, a yogurt parfait bar, breakfast nachos. I love breakfast nachos. A honey chicken biscuit, which is on our website. A breakfast sandwich on a croissant is a huge one. You can do that grab and go, build your own, or you can have that on your line hot. But just think about different breakfast scrambles, what you have on hand, your diced potatoes, even leftover French fries in a breakfast scramble is amazing. And kids will really like it. So just making sure that we're thinking big picture. How are we going to use leftovers? Using what we have on hand, not ordering in a whole bunch of new stuff, but cross utilizing what we have in house. Okay, here are a couple options for recipes that we have. Obviously, our breakfast burrito, our cheesy potato, egg, and bacon bake, which looks amazing.
And a couple of these are from Healthy School Recipes. Of course, we want you to check out Cooking for Kids, but we want to share other, and that's a really great resource as well. And I can send out these links when I send the email out today.
Well, and with this cheesy potato, egg, bacon bake, I mean, they're cut into squares, which looks really nice, and put on this beautiful rack, but this is not practical for serving. So I'm sure that if you bake them in your steam table pan and cut them and serve them with a spatula, it's going to be just as good.
Right.
Okay. Um, breakfast tacos with
So
bacon.
I know
Ooh, love.
Sabina in Altus, she had a ton of commodity pancakes
Oh,
last year, I think, and this was kind of the solution they came up with. Um,
I love that.
yeah.
And then breakfast pizzas, also really great option. Really great way to also use up your leftovers. If you have leftover um chicken nuggets, taco meat, fajita chicken, whatever you have, it's really great to use that on a breakfast pizza. You put anything on a pizza and kids will eat it, right? So let's talk about alternate service for breakfast. How to use your salad bars. Um, Yogurt parfait bars. So what you would do is make sure that your yogurt is pre-cupped and then have different fruits and granolas or jellies or different things like that that they could self-serve on top of that. Okay. You could also do an oatmeal bar. So you could do your baked oatmeal, and then you could have warm fruit that goes on top of that, or cold fruit. Banana split with yogurt and fruit toppings. So you would have your banana and your yogurt already in your boat, and then they could put their own fruit and granola and different things like that on there. And then a waffle or pancake bar. So if you're serving waffles or pancakes, you have fruits and different things like that to put on it. Let's talk about syrup for just a second. As these changes come down from USDA about sugar, um, syrup is a huge deal, right? Everyone loves syrup, myself included. But what is syrup? 100%
Added
added
sugar.
sugar, right? A lot of sugar. So how do we get around that? And we've been thinking about this a lot. We've been throwing around a lot of ideas. I know Cass has been meeting, and Taylor have been meeting with a lot of directors to talk about, you know, some solutions or different things or how we can assist. But if you take your frozen fruit, or even canned fruit and stew that down, it kind of breaks down, and you could do fruit syrups, with adding minimal amounts of sugar to that. So that kind of helps that solution. I know it's a little more work, but the great thing is you can make it in huge batches in your tilt skillet or your steam kettles or whatever you have. And it can be frozen. It can last in the fridge up to 2 weeks. Um, that this is a way to do it to where you're not adding a whole bunch of extra sugar. Since we're just counting added sugar, it would be an excellent option for um for helping with that. And as we know, IHOP and all of our breakfast places, that's their new kind of thing, is these flavored syrups that are mainly, strawberry and blueberry and peach and apple. And you could even take your applesauce and put some um, you know, cinnamon and different things, and kind of stew that down, serve it warm on top of things. Just to reduce that sugar in a larger
Well,
way on that.
and that has been a big concern from a lot of people we talked about, is our sauces and our dips and things like that. So I think that's a great idea um, there. And maybe that will be and something we add to our recipe list.
I have it on there.
So, and if you all think of things you would like to see, please either email it to us or put it in the chat, because that's what we're doing right now, is we are gathering information for what you all think you're going to need or what you want to see, because we want to provide resources. So
Well, and we also know that with these changes and updates in the child nutrition guidelines, this doesn't mean you're going to get an additional staff member to help
right.
facilitate the changes. And so we do want to make these as easy as possible for you guys. And we understand that, some days we're going to have to use a little more convenience than others, and hopefully we're able to do that as far as nutritionals go. So we do want to help you guys out as much as we possibly can with ideas or tips or suggestions or problem solving or whatever we need to do to help you guys be successful.
And like Callie mentioned, Taylor and I have been doing interviews with several districts, gathering information. But if, we haven't had an opportunity to talk to you, again, please send us any ideas or concerns or anything that you might have, because that's what we're trying to work on getting prepared.
Right, right. Which brings us right into I think our
Yeah.
last slide. Look at
Mhm.
this. Time management strategies. Because like we said, you guys aren't getting another employee to facilitate
Or
these.
maybe you are, and that would be great.
Well, that would be wonderful. If you are, please
Yeah.
share your strategies on getting a new employee. Um, but one of the things is prepping ahead. And one of the ways that has been really successful in a lot of schools is getting a whiteboard and organizing menus on there about what can be prepped ahead, and really clear communication to your staff about what needs to be prepped ahead, and maybe some delegation on that. Maybe using more convenience things on Mondays. Mondays are hard. Okay. Or after breaks, because it's really hard coming back and we're all exhausted because we probably played a little bit too hard on our time off. Um, or maybe it's just, recovering from the weekend. Mondays are always just really hard. So if you do have to use more convenience on Mondays, absolutely do that. If people are sick, I know a lot of school districts have closed down due to the flu. Um, and I hope everyone's well now. But maybe simplifying your menus. If you have a lot of staff out, simplifying your menus. Maybe not offering as many options, switching things around to help your staff have a easier time on those days that you don't have as much support or you're short on time. So using leftovers is also a really great shortcut to do, and saves time in the mornings as far as if half your stuff is already prepped and you're just kind of reheating or reallocating different things, it can really help you out there. Your overnight oatmeal, your breakfast casseroles that can be mixed together and put in pans the night before and just thrown into the oven that morning of. Different things like that, your fruit syrups that can be made ahead, different things like that. You're utilizing leftovers, utilizing prepping ahead as a way to minimize or lift the weight a little bit, right? Utilizing commodity items such as frozen fruits and vegetables, so you're not chopping as much stuff in the morning, making sure that we're working smarter, not harder, on our menus that way. Looking for recipes that just use one pan in the morning. Excellent way to help out our staff and make sure that they don't feel too stressed out or overburdened in the morning. And then grab and go breakfast, always an easy thing to put together. These last in the refrigerator. If you don't sell them all on one day, you can use them the next day. You can prep ahead. Again, you can use leftovers in those. So it really is a great option for breakfast, and making sure that our staff is not too challenged in the morning, because we do know that there's usually only one or two people putting out breakfast, and it might be the manager or the director of a school or child nutrition program putting those out. So making sure that we're really strategic, and when we put together our menus, that we're prepping ahead, that we're getting everybody involved in breakfast planning and different things like that to troubleshoot some of these things, and getting feedback from your staff. I know that it's hard sometimes to get feedback from your staff, because you're always going to have a couple of people that it's always going to be too hard. But making sure that, maybe invoking the you can't come to me with an issue unless you have an idea for a solution. But it might help you problem solve a lot of the issues that you have with breakfast prep and breakfast planning, as you try to plan that or improve it.
Okay, I think that's the last slide.
Last slide. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Or success.
Yeah.
Share your success stories.
Or Cass is here. So if you have any complaints about me,
Send them somewhere else. No, share your thoughts with us.
come on, at least somebody has a comment. Everybody's ready to get on with their day. It's the end of the day.
Well, I think we timed it just right.
Look at that. Look
Okay.
at that. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. And if you have any questions or comments, or you need any help with anything, please be very proactive and reach out.
Yes.
We are more than happy to help in any way that we can. So,
Hey, thank you
okay.
all.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.